Welcome to NextGen Timber, where modern forestry power, brutal land clearing, heavy steel, and precision machine control collide in real working conditions. If you want more next-generation forestry machines, land clearing systems, stump splitters, and real timber operations, subscribe now and stay with NextGen Timber. We start with the Atlas 1804 LC, a long-reach machine designed for jobs where normal equipment simply cannot get close enough. With a machine like this, reach changes everything. Crews can access difficult positions from safer ground instead of forcing workers or smaller machines into unstable areas. Even at around 34 tons, the Atlas stays impressively balanced while extending into places that would normally be too risky. That combination of weight, reach, and stability is exactly why long-reach excavators are so valuable in forestry, demolition, riverbank work, and land clearing. Then the scene shifts into a cleaner operation. At first, everything looks controlled. The cut looks steady, the machine position seems right, and the whole setup feels like it should go exactly according to plan. But forestry has a bad habit of reminding people that clean does not always mean predictable. Sometimes the tree, the slope, or the load reacts differently in the final seconds, and that is when experience matters. Back in the woods, the logger studies the tree before continuing the cut. He is not just cutting randomly. He is looking for clearance, reading the thicker section, judging the hinge, and trying to understand where the pressure is stored. Casual viewers often miss this part. Tree felling is a calculation. Every angle, every holding point, every cut depth, and every pressure line matters once thousands of pounds of timber start moving. Then safety becomes impossible to ignore. Chainsaws, falling trees, rotating machinery, unstable ground, and heavy branches are not forgiving. Full protective gear is not some extra accessory. It is basic survival equipment. One mistake without protection can change a worker's life permanently. Next, the Team RC 1000 takes over slope maintenance. And this is where modern equipment makes dangerous work much more controlled. With its low center of gravity and wide wheel setup, it can handle rough slopes and uneven ground far better than manual crews could. What once looked like untouchable overgrowth suddenly becomes clean, workable ground. That is the difference between old labor-heavy clearing and next-generation vegetation control. But the tension rises fast when the machine begins to lift. Someone notices the weight shift immediately, and that warning matters. Once heavy equipment starts losing balance, everything happens quickly. A few more inches of lift, a slightly worse angle, or one extra movement from the load could turn the whole scene into a rollover. Power is useful, but balance is what keeps the job alive. Then comes a maintenance lesson most people overlook. A clutch issue or loose belt might sound minor, but in sawmill and cutting operations, small mechanical problems can destroy equipment fast. If load pressure transfers into the blade incorrectly, damage becomes almost unavoidable. In heavy timber work, maintenance is not background work. It is what keeps the machine from failing under pressure. The Viper 82 then shows a smarter design approach by mounting the system directly onto the vehicle chassis instead of relying on a traditional trailer setup. That reduces vibration, improves stability, and makes a serious difference during long grinding operations. For casual viewers, it may look like a small design choice. For operators running heavy equipment all day, improved stability changes everything. Soon, the terrain is transformed into an even layer of mulch, ready for site preparation or vegetation management. What started as rough, tangled ground becomes usable land through controlled mechanical destruction. Then comes the debarking line for acacia and eucalyptus operations. This is full-scale mechanized forestry. Logs move quickly, bark gets stripped clean, and the whole process runs with synchronized efficiency right at the harvesting site. Machines like this are why modern timber operations can process huge volumes at industrial speed without wasting time moving raw logs through too many separate stages. Of course, not everything goes perfectly. One mistake near a fence turns into a repair bill nobody wanted. That is typical of forestry work near property. The job may look simple, Then the crew breaks the tension with jokes, shouting, and laughter. That kind of noise is part of real work sites. Forestry is dangerous enough already, so crews often use humor to release pressure before getting back into serious focus. Next, another mulching machine makes the scene look almost unreal. Whole trees disappear into the grinder, so quickly it feels like the forest is being erased in real time. Thick trunks, branches, and brush are swallowed and turned into mulch within seconds. This is not trimming. This is industrial-scale vegetation destruction. Then someone jokes with Mr. George about how much he paid for the new guy. But once the tree falls perfectly, there is not much left to criticize. The placement is clean, the execution is solid, and anyone who understands tree work knows that perfect drops are never as easy as they look. After that, the Sunrise Excavating stump splitter takes over with pure hydraulic violence. Massive stumps that would take hours to remove manually are cracked apart in moments. The splitter drives into the timber with serious force, breaking root systems step by step. It is a clear reminder of how much pressure modern forestry equipment can generate when designed for one purpose. The vegetation grinder follows with another display of controlled destruction. The operator guides the direction while the machine does the punishment. Thick brush, tangled roots, and dense vegetation vanish under rotating force after a single pass. This is where land clearing becomes less about brute human labor and more about smart machine control. Then the Western red cedar removal shows why precision still matters, even with powerful equipment. Giant cedar trees are not simply cut and dropped. Every stage influences how the tree twists, shifts, and falls. Experienced loggers read movement like a language, because one wrong cut can change the entire outcome. Heavy equipment in tight spaces appears next, and again the warning is clear. Machines this large rarely forgive small mistakes, especially near houses, fences, or other structures. The processing side of forestry then takes the spotlight. Playground mulch, paper scraps, wood waste, and leftover material all get shredded, separated, and reused. Modern timber work is not just about cutting trees anymore. It is about using as much material as possible and wasting as little as possible. Then sparks flash near power lines, and the danger changes completely. Tree crews are not only fighting gravity and timber weight, they are also working around electrical hazards that can become serious in a single moment. One branch touching the wrong line can create a major incident. Finally, we return to precision felling and heavy log handling. The Comtech Axer 8012 stands out by staying stable while managing massive timber. Its heavy-duty build helps the operator maintain control through dangerous cuts and large loads. In next-generation forestry, that is what matters. Not just raw power, but controlled power. That is NextGen Timber. Long-reach excavators, slope machines, debarking lines, stump splitters, mulchers, cedar removals, power line hazards, and industrial forestry systems working at full force. Subscribe now to NextGen Timber for more modern forestry technology, land clearing machines, timber processing systems, and heavy equipment action from the toughest job sites on Earth. Drop a comment with the most impressive machine from today's video.